Do you know someone who keeps making promises to themselves? This time I'll stay consistent, only to watch those promises fade within days. They start strong, full of motivation, ready to change, but somehow they always drift back to where they started. It's not that they don't want discipline, it's that they don't know how to build it. You've probably seen it. Someone decides to take control of their life. They wake up early, plan their days, cut distractions, and push themselves hard. For a moment, everything feels different, like they've finally figured it out. But then reality steps in, fatigue sets in, motivation drops, unexpected problems show up, and slowly, the structure they built begins to crack, until one day, it's gone completely, and they're back to old habits, maybe even worse than before. You've seen this happen, and maybe it feels familiar. But what if discipline isn't about pushing harder? What if it's about building something that doesn't break under pressure? Because real discipline isn't loud. It doesn't rely on bursts of motivation or extreme changes. It's quiet, steady, and almost invisible at first. And that's exactly why most people overlook it. There's a different way to approach this, a method that focuses on consistency over intensity, structure over motivation, and progress over perfection. It's built on a few simple ideas: showing up even when you don't feel like it, making your actions manageable, removing friction instead of adding pressure, and staying consistent long enough for it to become part of who you are. But here's the part most people don't expect. This way of building discipline feels too easy, too small, too slow. It goes against everything you've been told about grinding harder, doing more, and pushing past your limits every single day. And because of that, people ignore it until they see the results. Before we go deeper, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and share in the comments one area of your life where you struggle to stay consistent. I read more of those than you might think, and a lot of these ideas come from real people working through real challenges. This video, in fact, was inspired by someone trying to build discipline after years of inconsistency. So I'll use that as our example. But what you're about to learn applies to anything. Thanks for being here. Chapter 1: The Day Everything Changed. Today, I want to tell you the story of Fauja Singh. He wasn't born extraordinary. He lived a simple, quiet life in India. For most of his early years, he was just trying to get by. Life, however, dealt him heavy blows. He experienced deep personal loss, the kind that can completely break a person. First, his wife passed away. Later, he lost his son. After that, something inside him gave way. He lost his sense of direction. He became withdrawn, silent, emotionally drained. Days passed without purpose. He wasn't truly living anymore, just going through the motions. Like many people facing grief, he slipped into inactivity, into stillness, into a quiet form of despair. Even walking short distances felt exhausting. Life itself seemed heavy. People around him believed his story had already reached a grim conclusion. Only shadows melting into darkness. And then, something changed. But then something unexpected happened. At an age when most people slow down completely, he made a surprising decision. He chose to start walking. At first, it meant almost nothing. Just a few steps out of the house and back. No pressure, no big goals, no grand plan, just movement. Those few steps gradually turned into longer walks. Those walks turned into a routine. That routine slowly became discipline, and that discipline began to reshape who he was. Then something remarkable happened. At an age when many struggled to move at all, he began to run. Not fast, not far, but he ran, and he didn't stop. He went on to complete marathons in his 90s and continued running even after turning 100. But the real story isn't about running. It's about rebuilding a life, one small step at a time. Chapter 2: The Hidden Pattern. What most people don't realize is this: real transformation is never sudden. It doesn't come from bursts of motivation. It comes from consistent action over time. If you look closely at the journey of Fauja Singh, you'll notice a pattern. He started with something small. He didn't try to do everything at once. He allowed himself to improve slowly. And he kept going, even when it wasn't easy. At the beginning, he didn't train, he simply walked. But walking created consistency. Consistency built strength, and strength slowly became part of his identity. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once, but his story shows something different. You don't need a perfect beginning, you need a small one that continues. Chapter 3: The First Step. The first real shift in his life looked insignificant from the outside. Just a short walk. No timing, no expectations, no pressure. But internally, something important was happening. His body was reconnecting with movement. His mind was relearning discipline, and his identity was slowly changing from someone who had stopped to someone who keeps going. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Eventually, walking no longer felt like effort. It became part of who he was. And then one day, stopping didn't feel natural anymore. Chapter 4: The Return of Life. Over time, what began as simple walking turned into something extraordinary. Fauja Singh started running, not out of pressure, not for results, but because movement had become part of his identity. He went on to run marathons in his 90s, and even after reaching 100 years old, he kept going. But the real transformation wasn't physical, it was mental. A man who once lost his desire to live rebuilt himself without shortcuts, just small steps, repeated daily. Chapter 5: The Question That Changes Everything. What changed him wasn't age, it wasn't genetics, it wasn't luck, it was repetition. A small action repeated consistently becomes identity, and identity shapes your future. Most people wait to feel motivated, but his life teaches something deeper. Motivation fades, identity stays. When you become someone who moves daily, stopping feels wrong. When you become someone who shows up, skipping feels unnatural. That's real transformation. Chapter 6: The Lesson. Here's what many people misunderstand. They think change has to be dramatic, but real change is almost invisible at the start. A few steps, a short walk, a small action repeated every day. That's how a grieving man became a marathon runner. That's how Fauja Singh defied expectations. Not through intensity, but through consistency. Chapter 7: The Complete System. Now you can see the pattern. You need a reason to move forward. You need a small action you can repeat daily. You need balance so you don't burn out. You need patience with slow progress, and you need the strength to keep going. You don't need perfection, you just need consistency. Because in the end, transformation isn't about changing your life in one moment. It's about building a new life, one step at a time. It's about always getting back up. If you enjoyed this content, if it helped you in any way, I invite you to comment below what the smallest change you're going to make starting today is. Don't tell me your full transformation plan. Just tell me the first thing, the smallest one, the one you're going to do tomorrow morning. Because when you write it publicly, you've made a decision. You've turned an idea into a commitment. And public commitment is where change truly begins. I'll do my best to read every comment. And after some time, I'll come back here to see who followed through, who stuck to their word, who kept going, who actually took that first small step toward becoming the person they want to be. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to start. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for your time and attention. It shows you're serious about changing your life. See you in the next video. And remember, be present, walk with purpose, and stay on your path.